In 2012, the mayor of Ankara, Turkey, let's just call him the mayor, had a grand vision of building a theme park in his city. This wouldn't be any old carnival. It was going to be a major amusement park with over 2,000 attractions and 17 roller coasters, drawing in up to 10 million tourists every year and make Ankara a destination. You know the old line.
If you build it, he will come.
Well, whoever he was, he didn't bring a lot of his friends, and within 1 year, the lights turned out for good. This is the bizarre tale of Wonderland Eurasia, Europe's largest theme park. First things first, what would you name this massive, amazing park? The mayor left it up to his nearly 1 million Twitter followers in 2013, announcing prizes for those who submit the 10 best names. There was one condition: it had to be short. He settled on Ankapark. Simple yet effective. Here was the breakdown. It was to cost 1.4 billion lira, or 183 million US dollars, and cover 1.3 million square meters, or about 1/2 of a square mile. To give you a comparison, that's a little bit smaller than Cedar Point. The park would consist of 3 sections. The first one would be dubbed bigger and more magnificent than Disneyland, including 14 coasters planned for this area, 3 major ones, and 11 for kids and families. This section would include Universal-style 3D cinemas, with an arcade, and more prominently, dinosaurs, a dinosaur museum, restaurant, shops, toys, and rides. This section would include 2 massive dinosaur statues, one standing 80 meters tall, and the other 40 meters. The second section would be their zoo, with 80 different species and 270 animals in total, using what they call modern living spaces rather than cages. The third section would be a recreation area for families, with lots of shade and a playground. The plan was to draw in 5 million guests into its gates every year, generating 50 million lira, or about 6.5 million US dollars. The park hit its first hurdle in the summer of 2014, when it was already under construction. The Chamber of the Council of State said the park posed a danger due to its location. It was on the Ataturk Forest Farm and Zoos land, and this land was not supposed to be used for anything other than farming. The head of the Ankara branch of Chamber of Architects blamed the mayor for using public funds for illegal projects. Once they cleared those hurdles, vertical construction started on a few of their attractions, including an Intamin 10 inversion coaster, the biggest in the park, and a Ferris wheel, already way behind of the original plan of a 2014 grand opening date. The mayor got these 2 rides cleared to open by the summer of 2015, and opened them to the public to ride for free, even before the rest of the park was even close to being complete. Construction marched on to 2017, and the park was now looking at an April 2018 opening. But in October 2017, the park would lose its visionary. The president of Turkey, let's just call him the president, pushed the mayor to leave his post. After running Ankara for 23 years, he obliged, not only because he was a dedicated loyalist to the president, but because the president warned there would be consequences for mayors who refused to resign. The move was politically motivated, as the president was trying to get his party in position for the March 2019 elections, still about a year and a half away. A new mayor was appointed, and he was not amused with the old mayor's pet project. The original cost of 1.4 billion lira had been shattered, with the price tag sitting at 2 billion lira, or 262 million US dollars. Add in the electric and water costs, as well as the 3,000 employees the park would need to operate once it was done, and the new mayor called the total cost a terrifying figure. The future of Ankapark was officially on the shelf. The park needed an operator, and nearly a full year after the new mayor took over, they found one. It was the only company making a bid, and the city made a deal worth 26.4 million lira per year, or about 3.4 million US dollars, plus 3% of its annual revenue coming back to the city. It was a 29-year lease. Once the operator was secured, the park was finally preparing for its opening day in March of 2019, getting all of the certifications to open their rides, and applying to an international inspection firm to get approval to open their gates. Despite this, the Ankara branch of the Chamber of Architects, who once called the park an illegal project, had a warning. Do not allow the opening of Ankapark. If it is opened, we will file a criminal complaint for endangering the life, property, and safety of the people. In the weeks leading up to its opening day, the project known as Ankapark for the last 6 years was renamed to Wonderland Eurasia. In terms of US dollars, just walking through the gate would run you $3.28. but unlimited access to the rides would cost you $19.65. Unlimited VIP access for the day would cost $24.89. For an annual unlimited pass, you'd fork over $124. If you wanted individual ride tickets, it would run you anywhere between 52 cents and $2. Although it was originally slated to open on March 25th, the president said the park would open earlier, a grand total of 5 days. Why the rush? Flashback to when the president called on the mayor to resign back in October of 2017. He was maneuvering to put his party in the best position possible for the March 2019 elections, scheduled to take place on March 31st. He also declared that visitors could come to the park for free until the evening of March 31st. 11 days of free admission would be a lot more impactful than 6, if his goal was to win public favor, and it would explain why he wanted to put himself at the forefront of the project. Ankara was seen as a battleground city in the election, and putting his face on the opening of this potential economic goldmine could only help his chances, deeming it a symbol of pride for Turkey, no matter how big of a disaster the park may become down the line. Let's take a look at the coasters they opened up with. Lightspeed was the Intamin 10 inversion coaster that had been open as early as 2015, the park's biggest coaster. Thrill seekers could also check out the Zamperla Volair, the Chinese version of a Maurer Skyloop, a pair of compact coasters with an inversion, and Migfur, once known as Cool and Fresh, an SBF Visa tower coaster. Taking it down a notch, there was an Intamin family launch coaster, a Zir ESC, a Wild Mouse, a spinning Wild Mouse, and whatever you call this. And then taking the intensity way down, an SBF Mine Train kids coaster, a Zamperla suspended coaster, a Zero Force, this other kids coaster with a helix, a Wacky Worm, and another Wacky Worm. Wonderland Eurasia boasted 28 big rides, 180 mid-size rides, and a total of 2,117 attractions. There would also be giant tents throughout the park, 10 in total, where a number of indoor rides and activities would be located and would operate year-round. Even during the bitter cold winters, you could enjoy Wonderland's entertainment at a comfortable 73 degrees Fahrenheit. They wanted those 10 million tourists in Ankara to be able to enjoy the park 365 days a year, and were actively working with their partners in Russia, China, and elsewhere in the Middle East to get people to come. Construction on the park was just about complete 2 years prior to this point, and there was some question on the condition of the rides, as they had been sitting out in the elements. One agency said they observed rust on the coasters, and issues at the foundation of the other attractions. Right away, their marquee attraction, Lightspeed, broke down on the brake run, and had to evacuate its riders. A minor incident, but a perfect omen of what was to come. Despite being open for the entire summer 2019 season, Wonderland Eurasia was not drawing in the crowds expected. More importantly, it wasn't drawing in the crowds it needed to simply sustain itself. With over 2,000 attractions, utilities and labor costs were through the roof. 6 months after the park opened its gates, employees noticed that they were no longer getting paid. By the end of the year, the park was shut down. By February 2020, the operator announced that it could no longer pay its electricity debts, and they would not be reopening the park. The operator missed its annual payment of 26.4 million lira on April 30th, and the city sent them the order to evacuate the facility within 30 days, and took them to court a month later. As expected, the finger-pointing began. By this point, it was clear that Ankara had spent a total of $750 million on the park, more than 3 times the original figure, and there was nothing to show for it other than a rotting park. Politicians in Ankara pointed back to the park's mastermind, the old mayor, saying that he spent vital funds on the park instead of necessary infrastructure. Instead of spending money on important work on water and sewage, the mayor had spent money on helicopters and dinosaurs for Ankapark. Others were speculating about backhanded deals from the very start, suggesting the mayor used the park to funnel public funds to private companies that had a good relationship with the government. The ever-antagonistic Chamber of Architects filed a criminal complaint against the mayor, stating that Ankapark was an example of corruption. They stated his crimes were abuse of duty and damage to public property, and demanded Wonderland be liquidated and the mayor pay public damages. Others criticized the president for the failure, after establishing himself as the face of the park's opening, especially following a currency crisis leading to high inflation the year prior. One official's criticism went back to the use of farmland for the park, stating, "When we think of the economic crisis, what our people need is access to healthy food. While the common mind has seen this, you're putting up a rusty lump of metal." Wonderland Eurasia's downfall came from going too big too fast. Rather than starting small and letting the park grow organically, they started off with a massive price tag and massive overhead costs. And when the park underperformed after the first few months, there was no way out. They needed the park to be a smashing success right out of the gate, just to keep the lights on, literally. They would have been better off pouring money into quality over quantity to get people to come back. They didn't need over 2,000 attractions right out of the gate, but they wanted it. And Europe's largest theme park became a colossal failure after about half a year. Sound off on Ankapark, aka Wonderland Eurasia, in the comments below. What do you think was the biggest reason this park failed to take off? If I left out any details of the story, be sure to let me know. The media coverage isn't extensive for this park as you'd find for a park in America, so I did what I could. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. That's the best way to show your support for the channel. And if you're new here and are interested in theme parks or roller coasters, give me a sub. It helps me out, and you don't want to miss the content I have coming out in 2021. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.